Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing a video on every single cryptocurrency out there. So if you're in Bitcoin, this video's for you. If you're in an altcoin, this video's for you. But before I get started, I want to thank you all that clicked the like and subscribe button. It helps this channel grow very quickly, and I appreciate every single one of you because without you, I would not be here doing this. So I'm going to play out three scenarios, and all three scenarios have to do with Bitcoin, altcoins, and the stock market, and what I believe can be setting up for a perfect storm. So let's go ahead and get started. Rather than a Bitcoin bear cycle, could this be a Bitcoin super cycle? Now, before I even move on this, scenario number one plays out in the fall of 2022. And it plays out with the fact that Bitcoin can very well be in a super cycle. So let's go ahead and look at this. So the stocks tumble on recession fears with the S&P 500 nearing a bear market. Then we see this. Rising risk of recession creates new headache for Biden. So with recession, which I believe has already started, a lot of people are going to argue, oh, we're not in a recession. You know, it's just a pullback of the markets and everything looks good because there's no layoffs yet. And factories aren't closing. But you know what you see? If you look around very close, you see restaurants closing. And people will say, oh, that's because of the, supply chain. And it's because recession is coming. And what does recession bring? This. Inflation is bad and it's about to get worse. So recession brings inflation. And with inflation, this happens. Inflation impacts the US dollar. So I've been watching this DXY now for a while, and I mean, it's starting to drop down now. And that's what starts this whole process. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit. So the dollar dropping brings this. The rich get richer, rethinking Bitcoin's power as an inflation hedge. So in other words, recession happens, it brings inflation. Inflation pushes the dollar down, and Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation. So if Bitcoin is in a super cycle, right? Let's see how we get there by the fall of 2023. How we get Bitcoin to, say, 100K or higher by the fall. All right, so I think recession is happening faster than people think. In other words, a lot of people think, oh, we're not quite there yet. We're not quite there yet. But I think we're there, and I think it's not looking like it's moving so quick, but it actually is. I mean, go to the gas station. Your gas prices are astronomical. Go to the grocery store. Your food prices are astronomical. So inflation's already on the rise, which means we could already be in a recession. And we might have started a recession a couple months ago. And so let's say that this happens, okay? So now it's summer. We're in a full-on recession. Inflation is skyrocketing. What happens? Our dollar starts dropping, and it starts dropping quickly, which then what happens? Bitcoin rises. So the faster the recession happens and the inflation happens, the faster Bitcoin caps out at its new all-time high, whether it be 100K, 200K, who knows? Nobody knows. So with that said, okay, so what happens with Bitcoin? So as Bitcoin rises, its dominance rises and it pushes the altcoins down. So we have Bitcoin going on a super cycle where it's rising up, but say Bitcoin hits its all-time high in the fall. So then the dominance starts dropping. Okay? So right now the dominance on Bitcoin has been going up fast, very fast. We're at 45% right now. So say it keeps rising and the price keeps going up with it. So then the fall hits, it caps out, and maybe Bitcoin has one more push up higher as the dominance starts falling. But where's that money going? It's going into the altcoins. So if Bitcoin caps out, say, October, November, so do we get an altcoin bull run in December? That's very possible. Now that's scenario number one. Scenario number one takes us to the fall. So scenario number two comes in. Now, a lot of people are saying Bitcoin supercycle is going to last until 2023, summer to be exact. So now everything plays out. We still have our recession. We still have inflation on the rise. We still have the US dollar dropping. Everything is still playing out the same exact way. Okay? Except now it's a prolonged, drawn out super cycle. And Bitcoin hits its top in, say, June of next year. So what happens with the altcoins? So then they get their run up between June, July, and August. And that's our bull run for the altcoin market. Now, can you see the perfect storm setting up? So we have recession, which brings in inflation, which pushes down the US dollar, which makes Bitcoin rise. And also what I see is this chart right here. Now, people say, oh, the Dow Jones, that's stocks. It has nothing to do with crypto, but it does. And I believe that we're going to see one more all-time high on the Dow Jones. So, with that said, inflation, recession, inflation, dollar drops, Dow's setting a new all-time high, Bitcoin setting a new all-time high. Then we wait for the altcoin, bull run to happen shortly after. As Bitcoin's dominance starts falling, the altcoins take off. That's scenario 1 and 2. So we have fall 2022, summer 2023. Scenario number 3 is Bitcoin's already in a bear market. Okay? And with that said, how that plays out is like this. So, recession is still happening, inflation's still happening, and, Bitcoin already topped off. The dollar's dropping, but Bitcoin rises up to maybe 55K, and then the dominance starts falling and the money pours into the altcoin market. That scenario still puts us into either September, October, November of this year. And the difference is, instead of the altcoins, say you're holding XRP, and XRP's price is looking at, $10 as a top in a bull run. Now, in a super cycle, maybe it pushes XRP's price to $20, $30 instead of just 10. And that means your altcoin, whatever you're holding and you're watching this video, you could probably add, $2 to $5 on top of whatever you think it's going to. So say, for instance, you're holding a coin that is projected to do maybe $3 to $6 like HBAR. Well, maybe that hits $10 to $12 in a super cycle. So the super cycle looks more likely. So, and the fact that, Bitcoin's in a bear market, that can also be happening, and we're just not seeing it the same way. But what I believe, and I'm going to tell you this right now, is I believe Bitcoin is in a super cycle. I think it's going to be a fast-moving super cycle. So I like scenario number 1 the most, and I believe a perfect storm is setting up for this. And I honestly see that playing out. I think a fast-moving recession brings a fast-moving inflation, which brings a fast-moving dollar dropping down below to, say, 90 cents. And then I see the Dow Jones spiking up to a new all-time high, taking Bitcoin with it. And that's my views on scenario number 1, number 2, and number 3. But I want to touch on this. Okay, so the used car bubble shows signs of shrinking, but there's no crash on the way. Now, anytime a crash is about to happen, they always tell you no crash is coming. Why? They want you out there buying that car for $10,000 above sticker right up into the last minute. So I think the used car bubble is going to burst. I also think this is going to burst. The housing market, I think we're headed for a crash. I mean, I don't care who you are. If you were around in 2008 and you drove around any town, I mean, any town in the whole United States, you've seen probably 1 out of 3 houses for sale. So the more signs you see up for people selling their houses, you could bet we're headed for a crash because everybody wants to sell while they could get the most for something. And if as long as there's buyers for it, they're gonna continue selling it. But I think a crash is coming in both the used car market and the housing market. And then you have the coming food catastrophe. Everybody believes that the food shelves are going to be empty by the fall. And people are stockpiling like crazy, which is actually causing the food catastrophe. Then we have this, the global supply chain crisis. Anybody who has their own business or is in business knows that anything that you try to get, I don't even care if you're trying to shop on Amazon, guess what? You're waiting for your stuff because everything seems to be delayed. So now ask yourself, do you think we're headed for a recession? I mean, think about it. Everything is lining up perfectly. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. It was kind of long today. Again, I appreciate you all for being here and watching this. Leave your comments down below. I read all your comments. And I just want to thank everyone for being here and have a great day.